Hello and welcome to the Point of Difference podcast. I'm your host, Angus Henskins.
And I'm Shaq Shura.
And today we are interviewing Jason Spurgin.
Yeah, so we're going to get down to it with Jason. We'll ask him about his junior pathway through college and then break down his first year of professional basketball currently with the Sydney Kings.
So after this, Jason Spurgin. Hello, Jason Spurgin. How are you today?
I'm good. How are we doing?
Good, thank you. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
How are you doing? How are you finding Sydney?
Sydney, it's a bit busy for what I'm used to. Been in some small college towns and growing up in some small towns. So Sydney's a lot of people and a lot of traffic. So still adjusting to that, but it's good. Loving it.
I guess just to start with, where did you start with basketball? How did you get into basketball in the first place?
I would say basketball was just like a pastime. When I first really picked up a basketball when we were in Africa, and we just played knockout every lunchtime and no real structure to it, nothing like that. It was just knockout with some deflated basketballs, some punctured basketballs, and just having some fun with the guys out there. And moving to high school, always wanted to be like a cricket player, soccer player. So played that. And then in the third term, we had the option of rugby and basketball. And my first year, I was like, yeah, let's play some rugby. Let's see how it goes. And try to run over a little kid. And then the little kid tackled me. So I said, oh, well, I don't think rugby is the sport for me. So I switched to basketball and then just had fun with my friends. And then somehow became a little bit decent and then made a first team and then went from there, basically.
Yeah, right. I know that it may seem obvious that you play basketball now because you're a very tall person.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a big growth spurt late, or were you always sort of the bigger guy? Because you kind of had the skill set of a guy that may have been a guard or a wing when they were a junior and then had a big growth spurt.
Yeah, so I was taller for my age, but I was never like towering over anyone. And then I started playing grade 9, and then end of grade 10 towards grade 11 over the Christmas holidays, I grew like 6 inches and then just started towering over. And so I sort of was a bit of a guard, a wing player, and then, being taller than everyone, that just stuck me to the 5. So yeah, I did have a big growth spurt, just came out of nowhere and it was good.
Yeah, and that process of, I guess, falling in love with it from, you said, year 9 onwards, like, what did that look like? What made you, like, I guess, obsessed with it, with the process? What made you enjoy it? Was it mates playing with you? What kind of worked your way through?
Originally, my brother was the first, like, real basketballer in our family. And then, just competitive nature between me and him. I always wanted to be better than him. So I was like, oh, let me try the basketball thing. And then I got a couple opportunities to like practice with our first team in high school and stuff like that, and make the first squad and go from there. And then just being around the guys, being competitive and having fun, really, that's the major thing I like about basketball, is having fun with your friends. So that's what made me fall in love with it. And then I just try to chase the next goal after that. And
Having seen you play at practice, I know for sure that you carry that sense of fun and enjoyment into it, and maybe that's where we move into success and what success looks like for you, because being in the position that you are right now is, in my mind, is a success. But I know that you wouldn't be content with just being where you are and then retiring tomorrow and saying, well, this was a successful basketball career. Mm-hmm. So how do you sort of define it for you and I guess going forward as well as currently?
No, definitely, like, signing your first pro contract is like, okay, yeah, tick the box. Like, yeah, I've made it. I'm a professional basketball player. So, like, there's a level of success that you get from that. Like, yes, I'm a pro athlete that you've always dreamed about since you're young, being a pro athlete. So that's good. But then also there's levels to being a pro athlete. You can journeyman, be the star, one and done. Like, yeah. It's a process of what you want to do further in your career. So obviously, where I'm at right now is not where I want to be, but got to keep working there, do my time, and then get to where I want to be. So,
Awesome.
Getting there.
Yeah, I want to take it a couple of steps back, talking about the transition from high school to college, right? If we talk about ticking boxes, like what did that look like? And then obviously transferring that last year, like what does that look like, and the progress from each year? What are your goals, and how did that help in you achieving that goal of becoming a pro?
Yeah, so I think it was maybe halfway through grade 11. I sat down with my head coach and I said, hey, I want to go play college basketball. Like, what do I have to do? And he said, honestly, I don't think like you're good enough right now to play Division I basketball. Like, we might get you NIA or whatever like that. So I was like, okay, that's a challenge for myself to set. That's a goal for myself to set to get to college. And then just going through moving clubs. I went from playing Toowoomba basketball and then moved down to Brisbane, play more consistently competitive teams and play with better players to make myself better. Process during, I think, my senior year, got to play QBL, which is now NBL 1 North up in Queensland. So I got to play against grown men and real players and test my skills against them. And then my coach sort of had a plan with me. He said, all right, if you want to do this, we're going to have to get you in the gym 5 a.m., work out before practice, have practice, get in the gym after school, stuff like that. Training down in Brisbane, moving clubs. Then also, like, a major thing was also my academics. So, like, I would work out like 3 days a week, 5 a.m., and then the other 2 days would be a rest day, but I'd still be in at 5 a.m. doing homework and stuff like that, catching up. So it sort of became like not a hobby anymore. It sort of became like, okay, this is a lifestyle. This is what I have to do to get to college. So sort of embraced that, and then luckily got an opportunity to go visit Southern Utah, and then fell in love with it and committed like 4 days after my visit. So
yeah, awesome.
It was awesome.
I know you were all academic team, right? Was that when you were at Southern Utah, or was that when you were at Bowling Green?
I believe I made it twice at Southern Utah, all academic Big Sky 1 year, and then WAC maybe. And then I want to say I had the grades enough to do it for Bowling Green, but I haven't chased that down yet. So
yeah, I was really interested when I read that. Because you come across as a smart guy, but it's kind of, if you think that you're going to be a pro athlete, a lot of people put less time and effort into that. What made that a priority?
Really my family. I'm the first one really to make it to higher education out of my family. So I was sort of trying to push the goal, like, let me be the first one to get a degree from a university. So my first goal was to make it to Division I college, and then my second goal was always graduate in 4 years. So I was never really, my first couple of years, I was never really focused on basketball after school. I was always focused on, I'm a student athlete. Student comes first before the athlete. So I think I just instilled some working habits during basketball where I was able to perform in the classroom and on the court though.
And do you think it's really interesting, because you always hear it, student comes first. I think maybe that was a way for you to find more fun in the playing. Like, I know a lot of athletes head over there and put so much pressure on themselves because they're like in their head, I'm first and foremost an athlete, not a student. It's like, do you think you're talking about how you find joy in things? Was that a way for you to kind of get through the 4 years and still enjoy it because you were a student first, and that was like an activity that you kind of were able to just be yourself and just, kind of have fun with it?
Yeah, definitely. Basketball's, being a student, give you exams and papers you got to write and projects you got to do. So I saw that as more as my work, and then basketball more as my enjoyment. Whereas, I had a lot of teammates, like you said, think they're athletes then students first. So they used to put a lot of pressure on themselves, but I used to just go out and enjoy this, my time, free time, have fun, If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? So I just took it in stride as this is my time to get away from the classroom, away from the books, away from studying and stuff like that, and give myself a break from it and have fun with my guys.
Yeah, so we're going to get into some of the things that you value as an athlete and as a person, traits and values. But I think one that really stands out to me as an observer is that you really enjoy what you do, and you don't want to sacrifice that. You don't want to sacrifice that you enjoy it. How do you think that came about? Because it's very difficult to be a pro athlete if you aren't super competitive, but then still finding the sort of the mindset to prioritize fun as well.
Yeah, I think thinking back, when we moved back to Africa for the first time, and I really remember it, my parents were really worried about us moving from Australia to East Africa, first world to a third world country. And my dad asked me, like, what do you think of it? And I said, I love it. Why is everybody smiling? And it just sort of changed my perspective on, like, people might not have anything, but they're enjoying their life, taking it day by day, you know? So, like, being in a privileged position, playing the sport I love, doing the thing I love, being around guys that are fun, it's sort of just got to enjoy it all the time, you know? Enjoy competing. So I think seeing how people lived in Africa and didn't really see it as a struggle, just sort of as day-to-day work and just get up and keep going, is sort of helped me have a different perspective and sort of enjoy the game of basketball a bit more.
So how old were you when you guys moved there?
So when we moved back, I think I was 2010 to 2012, so like 9 to 11.
And was it parents' work?
Yeah, so my parents worked in hospitality and so hotels over there in Africa. So yeah.
Wow, what an experience! That would be so eye-opening. Like, you know, you get to really be maturing, and you just, like you said, everybody's smiling. All of a sudden, it's a different perspective, right?
Definitely, yeah. No, I made a lot of good friends over there that were showing me a different world. So it was fun.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to think about. And I was thinking as well about, when I was doing some research on you for the pod, how many times you've had to be the new guy.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot. I was a new guy, so my family's moved around quite a bit. So we went from Tanzania to South Africa, so a new guy then, but I was real young, so I don't think that counts as a new guy. But then we moved to Alice Springs, new guy there, and then we moved to Gold Coast Hinterland, stayed there for a while, new guy, East Africa, new guy, back to Toowoomba, new guy. So like, and then obviously going to the States, you're a new guy. So being the new guy is sort of fun. It's a new experience. You get to meet new people, see how they work, see how they interact, which is fun. But you know, it sucks sometimes though.
Yeah.
What would be like advice that you would give to, like, I guess, athletes that are about to head over, like about to start a new chapter? Because as you said, you've had plenty of experiences that, let's say, they might not be as extroverted, and it's like might be a bit more of a challenge. What do you think are things that are in your control when you make a change like that, and still being like an athlete, regardless? It might be college, it might be going to play overseas. What are things that can make things, I guess, easier or more enjoyable in that, through that process?
I think just making connections with people, you know. I found that, you know, moving to a new spot, obviously with a basketball team, you have 9, 12 guys that you're around every day. So that sort of becomes your family, but then you can still get a little bit lonely in that. So just going out and meeting new people, having new experiences. I remember just trying to go to all the sporting events when I was in college, just to have fun. Maybe you meet new people or see the same people at the same sporting events, and you start building relationships like that, and then you see them on campus, and then next thing you know half the people on campus. So I think just trying to meet new people and then like experience new things with different people is the way I used to approach being in a new situation, and then you really get to see how people are when they watch sports or having a drink with you or going out and doing something. So it's fun.
Yeah, cool. We'll go back in time a bit. I know we're jumping around. To sort of, as you begin to take basketball seriously, and you say that your high school coach that was giving you all that advice?
Yeah.
And maybe this is an obvious answer, but is there somebody at that, you know, real important foundational age that put a lot of values and instilled some ethics into you?
Yeah, I would say probably my high school coach has probably had one of the most impacts on my basketball career, but then also had Coach Danny Breen, who coached me for QBL1. He was very much giving me the opportunity to go out and fail or succeed, or he had my back no matter what. So him and Cabe were very beneficial for my basketball career, that they had trust in me regardless if I succeeded or failed, and they always threw me back out there rather than stash me down the bench where I was just a young guy. So like those two guys really molded me into be able to become a college player and then progress from there.
Yeah. Okay. And so how would you describe their style of coaching or teaching to you? Were they the dictator? Were they the negotiator? Were they hard on you?
Yeah, very hard. You know, I sort of going to them saying this is what my goal wanted to be, and they say it's not going to be easy. We're going to coach you hard, do all this kind of stuff. So I was sort of an expectation from them and me that I wanted it, I needed it for them to coach me hard. So, you know, Cave, he was very blunt, straightforward, to the point, like coaching. System-wise, he was like running stuff or
else.
Yeah, basically, but had a little bit of freedom. But it was fun playing for him. You know, I enjoyed the system, understanding like defensive rotations, offensive, how we move the ball, like concepts and stuff like that. So he sort of opened my eyes with that kind of world. And then Danny, he was very much free-flowing. Obviously, he coached a bit longer, so it was a bit more a different coaching style. He was more interactive with how people were doing, like with different engagement with players, rather than, you know, K being in high school, everyone just listens to the high school coach. Now you're dealing with grown men who've played basketball their whole life, so it's a different coaching style needed for those. So it was two different ones, but they both seemed to suit me, and I enjoyed playing underneath them, so it was good.
If we talk about the actual game for you, how did that level, like high school moving on to QSL, how did that shape you up? Because, I don't know, like for those that have watched you play, you move extremely well, right, for your size. Like, what did you do over that time? If we talk about habits, yeah, but like what on-court specific things did you kind of work on, or were you able to make improvements through playing at those levels that you kind of carried with you and have been able to separate you?
Yeah, I think I used like QBL as my testing myself against better competition. And then high school was whatever we worked out on that week, I just tried to implement it in the games. You know, that was my testing ground. It was like my pickup. If I make a mistake, it happens,
okay.
You know. So I think QBL was where I really tried to compete to the highest level, show myself like, yes, I can be on the same level as these pros. And then high school was very much like, okay, I played at the QBL level, keep that consistency, show everyone that I'm better than them, but then also try new things and expand my game rather than just be a back down guy, jump hook guy. I try to play off the bounce, play in transition, stuff like that. So it was very much a testing ground for myself in high school where I can push my limits of my skills. And then QBL, I was just trying to go hard and compete.
Right. So you were doing that like simultaneously. You were playing both at the same time?
Yeah. So obviously like the NBL1 season.
Sure.
We played the similar season in high school. So
Gotcha.
I used to go high school. We played Friday nights in a local competition, play Saturday morning for high school. And then Saturday night was QBL. So,
and were you playing for Queensland South?
So I didn't even make a state team until I was top age 20s. So once I finished high school, I only made a state team. So
and you tried out in all those previous years?
I tried out the year before, and I made it to, I think I was like the reserve guy or whatever. But yeah, so it was an interesting experience of like growing up through the Queensland basketball. Was like, oh, if you made the state team, you're the guy. Like everybody knows you. Blah, blah, blah. And then I always thought I was good enough to make a state team, but never really got the opportunity until I was done with high school, and then we went down there. So.
It's a real funny thing. Like, no one says it to you. The state programs don't say it to you that, like, hey, if you don't make under 16s, you're definitely not going to make 18s. If you don't make 18s, you're going to make 20s. If you don't make 20s, you're going to be a pro.
Yeah.
Like, they never say that.
Yeah.
But when you're 14, it really feels like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Really
if you don't make
feels
it back to back to back, it's like, I'm done.
I know,
what are we doing?
this is it for me.
Yeah.
I should take up cricket. Yeah, 100%. Okay, that's really interesting. So then from there you go to college.
Yeah, so we finished state down in Canberra. I lost to Victoria, Josh Giddey's game winner.
Was that it? That was it.
That's it.
That's
I was on that
crazy.
team.
Oh, snap.
We can find the video of that.
Yeah.
No, but we had a good team down there. Came second. Unfortunately, should have won, but the cards didn't play out our way. So it was but that was good. And then I had 6 months of just staying at home, working out down in Brisbane, and at home, and then headed off to college just before COVID shut down Australia. So yeah. And then I was there.
So you were in the States during COVID.
So the states had just finished up their like big lockdown, all the states, no one can travel, all those like 2-week lockdown. I got there just after that, and it was just before Australia shut everything down. So it was sort of like a win-win. I didn't really have to spend 2 weeks in the house doing nothing. So I was quite fortunate, quite lucky about it. So.
Yeah, and so your college career, you didn't start in your first year, and then you started all but one of the games for the rest of your college career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a pretty like light switch, hot cold. How do you go from not starting any to starting all of them?
Yeah, no. My first year, like someone comes around, we're playing preseason basketball. Like I'm like, okay, I have a chance. Like, the senior at the time, we were going back and forth and going at it, and I was like, okay, I think I have an ability to at least play, or some like having conversations with coaches. They believed I could start, but obviously didn't roll around. Our coach was very much build trust with guys. So the fifth year, 6th year senior that was there with him, he played his whole career with him, knew what he could do. He was a great guy, a great mentor. He could think the game differently. So he was a big mentor for me my freshman year. And then he always told me, like, hey, it's your position to take next year. Like, I'm done next year. Don't have another year. Like, it's your spot to take. Whoever they bring in, you got to beat out. So it was learning from him. My first year was a big thing, I taught me the ins and outs, how to take care of your body, things like that. And then my second year was, they brought in a couple guys, and I was like, there's no chance they're taking this from me. And I understood the system. I was there for a year already, so I had a little advantage in the first couple weeks of when they first got in. So, and then got my opportunity to look back. Big step from not playing many games my first year, only getting in blowouts and stuff like that, to starting position playing high major schools. It was kind of different, but
I want to pick your brain more on that, because I think it's so interesting, and like working with athletes that are about to head over and doing all this stuff and trying to kind of like, most of the ones that are going D1s and all of that kill it over here and aren't used to not being the guy. They're not used to not playing. They're not used to like all these challenges and adversity that you've got to hit when you go over there. Other than dominoes falling and, like you said, that senior graduating and it being your spot, what does it actually take for it to become your spot? You kind of said you had that mentality of like, shit, no one else is getting this. This is my spot. And like buying into the fact that, it might not take a year. It might not even take 2. Like, I might only get my opportunity in the 3rd, 4th year. Like, what does that look like over that time? Because it's such a mental, like it takes a mental capacity. Like it's huge,
Yeah, growing up, I wasn't really the guy on the teams I played with. I always played with 1 or 2 guys that were always better than me until, like, obviously my senior year, playing in high school, I was sort of the guy. But even then, moving down to Brisbane, I was never really the guy on those teams. So it sort of helped me adjust to when I went to college and was that guy on the bottom of the end of the bench, and coach would look at me when we're up 30, and then I'll get so
all experience that.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's just paying your dues. You know, I've seen a lot of guys go 1 year in college from Australia that they were the studs over here, and then they
Can't do it,
can't handle it, and then come back. But I think, you know, it's a different beast. You know, there's levels to it, obviously, and if you can go out there, perform your first year, you can do it. But I think staying and building trust with coaches is your foot in the door, and then once you get that opportunity, I think you just got to take it and go with it. So, yeah, my second year was, they gave me the opportunity, and they said, it's yours to take. It's not like we're going to give it to you. You have to earn it. And it's like, okay, I'll try my best to earn it. And yeah, worked out. Here I am.
Okay, quick little break for your all-time starting five of teammates. And they could be talent, or it could be teammates you like to play with. And it's not like the NBL All-Star 5 where it's like random positions. Like, I need a point guard and I need a shooting guard.
Could be a brother, like anything.
I think my favorite point guard I played with was Drake Allen. He's at Utah State right now. We played with together only 1 year, but it was a fun year with him. My starting two, D Barnes. He's my guy. That's my guy. I love him. I love the way he plays hard. He's the same thing, endless energy. I sort of learned from him as well. He was there my first year in college, and he wasn't playing that much because at the time, D1 to D1 transfers, you had to sit out a year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So me and him on the bomb squad going crazy.
Yeah.
So D Barnes. At my three, I think I'll take Harrison. I'll put him to the four. Harrison Butler. He was also another teammate at Southern Utah. He just thought the game in a different way. Whenever teams played zone, me and him would just dice it up. He was, I would say, a basketball connoisseur. He sort of thought the game in a different way. So I learned a lot from him as well. At my three, I might go back to one of my teammates in high school, Reed Cap. He wasn't, I'd say, the best basketball player. He had some complications growing up, but with his leg, he had like bone cancer. But I could somehow for him to get out on the court and hoop with us, it was
huge.
It was awesome to see like the love of the game that he had and the effort he gave during practice. It was always fun to play with him. At my five, I think
Can't be you.
it can't be me, no chance. My last year at Bowling Green, Sean Agee, another person just played with passion, energy all the time. Like, bit of an emotional guy, but you know, he just loved the game, loved to compete, and it was always fun competing against him in practice and playing with him on the court. So,
gotta look these guys up now.
Yeah,
afterwards.
100%.
Gotta see the highlights.
But it's good to hear like the values you have for these guys. It's like guys that play hard, guys that play like good teammates, and challenge you as well, like you said at the end, and think the game. I mean, yeah, I guess if I could ask you about your teammates, I'd ask if there's something that you really like in a teammate. If somebody plays on your team, what do you like about them if they're your favorites?
I think like when we were at Southern Utah, when I was at Southern Utah, we had a very selfless team and understood everybody on the team could go score 25. So I think understanding, like if a teammate everyone knows their roles in a team. You know, you've got the scorer, defensive player, second, third option, whatever. But if that third option is cooking, I have big respect for the first option to step back and say, hey, it's his night. Like, let's find him the ball. So I think players that are self-aware on what is happening that night during a game or during practice and stuff like that, a big respect to those guys of being able to put their ego aside of understanding like, yeah, I am the guy, but tonight it's his night, you know, and being able to share the ball and prop up their teammates for the win. You know, I'm a big win over personal stats. I could get 2 points, 2 rebounds, but we win by 30. I'm happy. I'm not complaining about performance. So I think a teammate that really does that and lifts their teammates up, even though they might not be succeeding, and if the team wins, you know.
I think that's great. let me flip it and ask, what does a team or what do your teammates get when they have you?
I think just a guy that's going to play hard and do anything to win, you know. If they need me to score the ball, I'll score the ball. But if they need me to play defense, I'll play defense. I'm there whatever the team needs me to be, you know. I was very much, during my college career, I was never the guy. I was always fourth, fifth guy. You know, we played with a lot of great scorers and a lot of great point guards. And I was always, you know, screen and roll and getting guys open, setting good screens. So I like to take pride in the little things that I can do to impact the game, regardless if it's not on the box score, you know.
It's funny hearing like about your trajectory, how you've been a starter and you've been a bench guy and you've been a starter and you've been the guy and then you've been right at the end. Because I think a lot of the people that listen to this will know you from the Kings, and that's kind of where we are now, which is you're back from being a senior in college to now being a development player with the Kings. How have you found that transition, and how do you think you've attacked that sort of change in role?
The transition's been a big difference, you know, going playing 30, 35 minutes a night, basically whatever minutes you want to play, depending on how tired you get, to coming here and not playing at all, and sometimes playing against the guys at practice and not being on the two different squads. But
And kicking their ass, might I say. From
some,
time to
yeah,
time.
some
Cam
time to
Oliver
time.
checks his wardrobe for you every night when he goes to bed.
No, but I sort of see it as a repeat of my freshman year in college. Is I can learn from the guys, learn from X, learn from Cam, learn from JA. All these guys have had experience in the NBL, learn from Bruce of what to do, how pros do it. You know, there's a big difference between the pro life and the college life. So trying to learn those things and then just competing against them. So I see it as my freshman year all over again, and then, you know, doing what I have to do and being there, being ready all the time, regardless of the situation. You know, never know when my name's going to be called. So just staying prepared and staying locked in.
I think like the point of it being a process, and you saying how it's almost a repeat, just different circumstances, bigger picture probably, but like you almost see it based off what you've told us, like in the junior before you went over, then you hear about in college, and now this is like the first step of the pros. And following on that, what do you think for you right now is the biggest focus? Like, what are you trying to come in on a daily basis and improve on, like other than those like intangibles and the experience that you actually get? Is there anything that you're focusing on at the moment?
Big thing for me has been my body. You know, I came in a little bit heavier. I enjoyed the last few months in college once the season was over. So just trying to get my body right back to when I was performing my best. So yeah, that's been a big major focus with me, of how to handle the stress of college versus professional. College, you very much lifted like 3-4 times a week. Now in the pros, it's maybe twice, 3 times, once a week, depending on the schedule. So trying to understand how my body reacts to different workloads and stuff like that, and trying to get that right and in the right position and going from there. So that's probably one of the big things I'm working on.
I don't think it's hard or wrong for me to tell you that Luke was really keen on you, Luke Longley, when we were recruiting you. And I know that you've had obviously a lot of contact with him since you signed with us, or maybe even before that. Luke's reputation precedes him. I don't need to say how great he is, and I know he's a really smart guy. He really thinks the game. How do you think he has impacted you or helped you, guided you through this first bit of your pro career?
Yeah, he's every time he gives me advice, it shifts my way of thinking, and it's like, oh shit, you can. That's how it works. So I'm always open ears to anything he says to me. He's been a great guy. He's been in my corner the whole time, saying, just keep going, keep competing. He's just always there. Anytime I need him, I shoot him a text. Hey, can we hop on a phone call? He's always there to listen, bounce ideas off, you know, and also he shoots straight, you know. He doesn't want to beat around the bush. He wants you to be the best you can be. So he gives you the honest truth, and a different perspective outside of the game of someone that doesn't see you day to day and how you're working. And then when he comes into practice and he hasn't been seeing you perform in 3 months and say, hey, you've improved since the last time I've seen you, it's sort of a validation. And, you know, he also makes you think a different way. Like you said, he's a big thinker of the game, and he's always sets little challenges or makes me ask questions, and I'm like, I didn't even think of that. So it's been a good thing for Luke to help me out so far in my career, and I'm sure I'll keep talking to him for the rest of it.
Yeah. I want to just touch on that little period when you said you kind of came into college not knowing what was going to happen after. In your senior year, what kind of sparked the like return to play NBL, like back home and everything? How did that evolve? Did Luke play a part in the recruiting? Anything like that?
I think, you know, I've always had a feel of when I think I should leave or change sports or whatever. Like growing up, I was always moving different sports and everything, and my parents sort of trusted my judgment with what I wanted to do, and they supported me 100%. So, and I sort of had conversations with them saying, hey, I don't think I could sit in a classroom any longer. I'm starting to get tired of this. They're like, hey, we support you regardless. You don't have to graduate if you don't want to. You can do whatever you want. Like, no pressure. And having the support from my family saying, hey, you want to take a new challenge, we're here for you. And, you know, I think the level of basketball is different. The physicality is different. Obviously, playing against people at different levels is different to college. And I thought I'd sort of started to get comfortable in college and wanted a new challenge. And so I was like, I think going the pro route is the new challenge. So probably halfway through my senior year, I started thinking about what do I need to do right now to get ready to be a pro, and how do pros approach the game. So I sort of shifted from, like we were talking about earlier, student athlete to now I'm an athlete student.
Yeah.
And so I started changing my mind towards that. And then, I was like, I need a new challenge. Wanted to try something new, and coming to the NBL was it.
We have a bowl of rapid fire questions, Spurge.
Okay.
And Shaq and I are going to go back and forth asking you rapid fire questions. Okay. You have no time to think.
No time to think.
No time to think at all.
What comes first?
What is your free throw routine?
Look at the back of the rim, one bounce, shoot it.
All right. Barbecue sauce or tomato sauce?
Going barbecue sauce every time.
Who's your favorite NBL player not on your team?
Favorite NBL player not on my team? I would say it was Lamar Patterson when I was growing up. Wow. I was a Bullets fan when I was younger, and he was cooking during that time. So
that's a cop out, but
yeah.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron.
Let's go. We got the jersey. Sausage roll or meat pie?
Ooh, meat pie.
Coffee order?
Don't drink coffee.
Ooh. What do you drink?
I will go hot chocolate every time.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
My girlfriend's the same.
A little marshmallow on top.
Yeah. Dunks or threes?
Dunks.
Palmer or Palmy?
Palmy.
Oh, good.
Good answer.
Yeah. Good answer.
What sport are you best at other than basketball?
Cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Spurge, I know you like video games.
Yep.
And I know that video games seem associated with nerds. However, every pro athlete I know just about plays video games.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a link there?
I think I've talked to my parents about this. I think to be a pro athlete, I think you have to be some kind of a nerd in a sense of like, you have to be a little bit special. I don't know if like people agree with me, but there's something weird about pro athletes, you know, like some people got routines, you know, they have to put left sock, right sock, or a 20-minute nap. Like there's always something quirky about a pro athlete and how they approach the game. So I think it translates to people being like video gamers or like,
well, yeah, because it's like obsessive. You gotta be obsessive.
You gotta be obsessed with something.
You also have to be like competitive. Fives don't shoot threes, and then all of a sudden it's become an aspect of the game. And I talked to Kix about it, who obviously is like statistically the best 3-point shooter in the NBL ever, or just shooter in general. I don't know about 3-point shooter, but best shooter.
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't shoot threes till college. He spent like 18 years of his life not shooting threes, and then it became basically the thing that separated him from other people. So, did you ever did you start taking threes? Did you ever consider that it shouldn't be a part of your game because you're a 5?
I think I considered that it should be an element of my game, but it shouldn't be the only thing I focused on. If in a sense, I'm not building my game around being just a strict shooter, you know. You need to have a little back to the basket, pick and roll, short roll, playing like that rather than just strictly a shooter, because then you're one-dimensional. People know how to guard you. You know, you can't do anything else. So I think as the game's evolved and more people want to shoot threes, I think they go into the direction of they come into one-dimensional now. And now, like, adding the 3 to your game was, okay, now screws everything up. But now all you do is shoot threes is pretty easy to guard. So I think we're going a little too far with shooting threes.
Not everyone needs to shoot threes.
Yeah.
But if you can, you should.
If you can, you should. But I don't believe in just shooting threes.
Yeah.
As a 5-man.
Well, Jason Spurgin, thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate you being a guest on the show. And yeah, man, all the best. I'm excited to see how you continue progressing in your career.
Thank you for having me.